My life.
Vanakkam, Ayya. I have some good news for you. It was my mathematics teacher from class 4 and he was standing just outside the house and calling out to my father. He looked quite excited, so we all rushed out to greet him and invite him inside. My father offered him a seat and then looked on expectantly. Abdul, come up here, to me. My teacher beckoned to me. I was standing with all the other children, peeping from behind my elder brother. I came up shyly to him. He pulled me close, affectionately, then turned to my father and said, Abdul has scored full marks in mathematics in the exam. And not only in mathematics, but in science as well. And he has done very well in English and Tamil too. We teachers are very proud of him. I was so pleased to hear this result. But I was even more pleased because my teacher had taken the trouble to come all the way to my house and tell us about this. He had finished his work at the school, and then instead of hurrying back home, he had come here to share his pride and happiness with my family. Our school was small, but it had many such teachers like him. They taught us with love and care and felt the same joy in our achievements as we did. That evening, my mother made special poli, a flat chapati-shaped sweet, to celebrate. We all loved polis and ate many helpings till we were told we'd had enough and sent off to bed in case we got tummy aches. As a child, my day started very early. It began with my mother gently shaking me awake very early in the morning before sunrise. Abdul, wake up, Kanna, she would call affectionately, and I got up, wiping the sleep from my eyes. I had two places to go to before school. One was the Arabic tuition class that all of us attended. There, we learned to read the Quran. After it was over, I went to my mathematics teacher's house. He took a special class for students who showed promise in the subject. I have always loved learning about numbers and their rules and patterns. Addition and subtraction and multiplication and all the other basic functions I had learnt very quickly. Now, I was raring to know about more complex problems. My teacher had started the class for students just like me, and I enjoyed going there and grappling with number problems in the early hours of the day. I ran back home once the class was over. My mother would always have a hot meal ready. We all ate our fill. In our school, children did not carry tiffin boxes and water bottles, so I ate the mid-morning meal hungrily, enjoying the rice and vegetables and chutney and dal. Some days, she would make piping hot dosas, and I still remember their thick, crispy texture and the spicy powder smeared on them. The children all walked to school together. Our school was the Rameshwaram Elementary School, and the only one in the town then. We walked along the cobbled roads together, chatting and playing little games. We had to carry only a few books with us, and no one took school bags. The school building had rows of classrooms and a small playground. In the class, I sat with Amanadha Shastri, my best friend. We had known each other from the first day we came to school and been friends ever since. He and I loved to chat, and somehow we never ran out of things to say to each other and do together. One day, we decided we would build boats made of leaves and keep them ready in case it rained. Whenever we got a break between classes, we took up our pile of leaves and made little boats out of them. Imagine our joy when our whole fleet of boats set sail on the many puddles. If I saw an ant or some other insect, I carefully made sure it got a ride on my boat to safety. I don't know if the ants were any grateful for this unexpected joyride, but we were thrilled to see them clinging on to the flimsy leaf boats and sail away. Shiva Subramania Iyer taught me when I was 10 years old and in the 5th standard. He was a great teacher, and all of us loved to attend his class and hear him. One day, he was teaching how birds fly. He drew a diagram of a bird on the blackboard depicting the wings, tail, and the body structure. He explained how birds create the lift and fly. He also explained to us how they change directions while flying. For nearly 25 minutes, he gave the lecture with various information such as lift, drag, and how birds fly in formations of 10, 20, or 30. At the end of the class, he wanted to know whether we had understood what he had been teaching. I spoke up and said I had not understood. When I said this, he asked the other students whether they had understood or not. Many students then said that they too had not understood. Our response did not upset him at all. When we were scheduled to have our next class with him, he had a wonderful surprise. He said that he would take us to the seashore that evening. The whole class went to the seashore of Rameshwaram. We enjoyed looking out at the roaring waves. In the sky, there were many birds flying around. He pointed out the birds that were flying in formations of 10 or 20 numbers, and we observed the marvelous flight formations they made. He asked us to watch how they looked when they were in flight, and how they flapped their wings. He then told us to look at the tail and see how they used the combination of flapping wings and twisting their tail while flying. We noticed closely and found that the birds were able to fly in the direction they wanted to by using both tail and wings. Then he asked us, "Where is the engine in this bird? Do you know what the engine that powers each bird is?" He explained that each bird is powered by its own life force and the motivation of what it wants. In the space of 15 minutes, he explained the concept of flight dynamics in birds, and we understood everything. He gave us a theoretical lesson coupled with a live practical example available in nature. This was real teaching. For me, that evening, I did not merely understand how a bird flies. It went much deeper. I felt as though the bird's flight entered into me and created a special feeling. Since that evening, I was sure that my future study had to be with reference to flight and flight systems. My teacher's teaching and the event that I witnessed that day decided my career path. One evening after the classes, I asked him, "Sir, please tell me, how can I progress further in learning all about flight?" He patiently explained to me that I should complete my 8th standard here and then go to high school. After that, I should go to engineering college where I would be able to learn about flight. If I completed each step, I would be able to do something connected with flight sciences. This advice and the lesson that evening by the seashore gave me a goal and a mission for my life. I spoke to my father about my dreams and ambitions, and as a result, at the age of 15, decided to move to the Schwartz High School in Ramanathapuram. Saying goodbye to Rameshwaram and the familiar old streets was difficult, and I was a bit scared too of going away from this place where everyone knew me and where I knew every corner and tree. I had never gone so far away from my family, and to leave my mother behind made me especially sad. She too shed tears and made boxes of food that would last me for a few days. Those polis that I was so fond of went with me on my first trip outside Rameshwaram. We left by the train. Jalaluddin and Shamsuddin came along with me to help me settle down in the new place. I remember waving goodbye to everyone till they were little specks in the distance. My eyes were threatening to water, but I held back the tears. I was a big boy now, and how could I cry for my mother in front of everyone? But whatever one's age, to live away from your parents for the first time, however exciting, can also be a bit frightening. My first glimpse of my new school was of a plaque that was nailed to its entrance that read, "Let not thy winged days be spent in vain." When once gone, no gold can buy them back. It meant that the best days of our lives were now, when we were learning, and we had to make the most of this time. Once gone, the time would run like sand between our fingers and we would never get it back again. The words not only filled me with hope and expectations, but also helped me put aside my homesickness and look forward to all that I would learn at this new school.